Okay, let's get on with these letters. Now I will show you how to do all the various animations at the start of my videos once I'm finished them all. I'll be giving this typeface away as a free download, and it's probably best to do the animation tutorials at that point. This one only takes about 5 or 10 minutes. Now let's get back to the retopologizing. Now the N is easy, so let's select the text object, press Tab and 1 for point mode. If I Alt and click to select it all, then P, choose selection to make a new object from these vertices. Press Tab to go to object mode. I'm going to select the N and press F2 to rename it to N. Now I'm going to tab back to edit mode and I'm going to start by connecting these two here. I want to leave just 2 below here. Now around the top we have 9 vertices. I'm just going to space those out. And around the bottom there are only 7. But on this one I can see that the curved section runs all the way down to here. And seeing this kind of thing, well, it kind of comes with experience, but it tells me that our vertices are going to be pulled back around this curve. So what I'll often do in this circumstance is, instead of adding 2 to this section, I'll just add 1 here, and then I'm going to take 1 away from the top loop, which I do just by selecting any vertex, press X, and choose Dissolve Vertices. And now I can space those out. Now I can switch to edge selection mode, and I can fill in from here all around to the bottom. Then I just want to add 1 loop on this right hand leg, and I'm going to move its vertices up to match the bottom vertice of the curve on the left. Now I can go over here and I can see I have 4 vertices on this side, so I need 4 over here. I'll press Ctrl and R and just left click, then Ctrl and R again and type 3 and hit enter. Now I'll match the heights of these new vertices to the ones they'll connect to, so G, Z, Ctrl, hover and click, and do that for all of them. Now go to edge mode, select this one and fill in from top to bottom. Good, now I want to add 5 loops on this leg, 5 loops on this leg, and I'm going to add 2 loops to this little ascender at the top. Done. So tab to object mode and apply the shrink wrap modifier, then tab back to edit mode. Press 2 for edge mode, A to select everything, W just to select the border, Control and I to invert that selection, press X and choose edges. Now A to select everything, F to fill, I to inset, 0.001, X and faces. I'm going to Alt click on the inside to select the loop, press GG, hold Alt and type -30 and enter. Now in edge select mode I'm going to select this bottom edge and fill in round to the corner, and I'm going to select the other bottom edge and fill in here up to the top. I want to move these 2 vertices here just to straighten up this edge, so select both of them, press G, Z, Alt, hover and click. I'm going to add internal loops along the edge here and around the corner. I'm going to press A to select everything, Shift and N to recalculate the normals. I'm going to tab to object mode, press Ctrl and 3, right click and shed smooth. Tab, 2 for edge mode, and I want to add a tightening loop at the top and mark it as a seam. I want to add 1 for each of the bottom of the legs, and I'm going to select them both. Press GG, E and maybe F to move them into place and mark them as a seam. I want 1 in here to tighten this curve. I'm going to align it to the straight edge and mark it as a seam. I'm going to move the camera a little, press A to select everything, E, Y, 0.4 to extrude it, then 3 for face mode, Alt and click an edge on the cross section, press I and type 0.04, press W to select just the border and mark seam. Now I'm going to turn on the sub D on cage switch, tab to object mode, set the origin to the geometry, Shift and S, cursor selected, reset the cursor Z, right click, origin to 3D cursor. I'm going to press Ctrl and A and hit R to reset the rotation. Now I'm going to add the material and I'm going to move the letter into our collection with M. Done. Next letter. The O is even easier, so let's select the text object, tab and 1 for point mode, click a vertex here, Shift and click a vertex here, press Ctrl and L to select everything that's linked. Now press P and choose selection to make a new object, tab, select the O and press F2 to rename it to O. Now in edit mode we can Alt and click and count the vertices, so there are 16, and Alt and click on the inner loop, and there are 16 again, so these will connect together perfectly already. And that means we can just tab to object mode and apply the shrink wrap modifier, and tab back to edit mode. Now A, F, I, 0.001, X and faces. And Alt click on the inside, press GG, hold Alt and type -30. And Alt click on the inside, press GG, hold Alt and type -30. Now I'm going to connect these 2 points up here at the top and just press F to fill all the way around. I'm going to add 2 internal loops which go all the way around. I'm going to press A to select everything, Shift and N to recalculate the normals, tab to object mode, press Ctrl and 3 for the subdivision surface modifier, right click and say shade smooth. I'm going to press tab, move the camera a little, A to select everything, E to extrude, Y for the axis and type 0.4. And 3 for face mode, Alt and click an edge on the cross section, press I, 0.04, W and mark seam. Now I'm going to turn on the on cage switch and the subdivision surface modifier, tab to object mode, set the origin to geometry, Shift and S, cursor to selected, reset the cursor's Z position, right click, origin to 3D cursor. Press Ctrl and A and R to reset the rotation, and then I'm going to add the material as usual, and I'm going to move the letter into our collection with M. Good, next letter. Select the text object, tab to edit mode, point select mode, select it all, press P, and selection, tab to object mode, select the letter, press F2 and rename it, and tab back to edit mode. Now I noticed earlier that one of the points on the P was not in the correct position, and that can happen sometimes. The shrink wrap has failed. It doesn't happen very often, and I've never seen it happen on more than one point. So what we do is we select the 2 points to either side of the failed vertice. I'm going to press Ctrl and plus, which expands the selection out, and then if I press Ctrl and minus, it'll leave us with just those 3 vertices selected. And now I hit space and loop tools, and that point will be fixed without affecting anything else, and it works every time. Now, although I've fixed this, I don't like to do work I don't have to do, and I don't have to do this letter as it is an exact mirror of the B. The B, the D, the P and the Q in this font are all actually exactly the same letter. So I'm just going to move the camera back, and I'm going to select the letter B and duplicate it. I just press G and X to move it along here. We are going to align it very precisely. First of all, I'm going to rotate it by pressing R, X, 180, and I need to turn off the uncaged switch for this. Now, I'm going to zoom into this corner just by selecting a few vertices and pressing Del. And now I'm going to select just the very top corner point. I'm going to press Shift and S and choose Cursor to Selected. I'm going to tab to Object Mode. I'm going to right click and say Origin to 3D Cursor. Now if I select the text object, I'm going to select the matching point at the top of this P. I'm going to press Shift and S and say Cursor to Selected. Now tab back to Object Mode and select the 3D letter. I'm going to press Shift and S, and this time I'm going to choose Selection to Cursor at the top of the radial menu. And that moves it exactly into position. Set the origin to the geometry, Shift and S, cursor to selected, reset the cursor Z, right click, origin to 3D cursor. I just want to delete the vertices from the text object, so I'll select it and press X and delete them. Done. Now I'm going to press F2 to rename this letter to P, and it's already inside the Arial Black friendly collection. Now the Q, as I said, the Q is the same as the P, but this time it's mirrored around the Z axis. So select the letter P and duplicate it. I'll just move it here. And first of all, I'm going to rotate it by pressing R, Z, 180. Now I'm going to zoom into this corner by selecting a few vertices and pressing Del. Now select just the very top corner point again. Press Shift and S and cursor to selected. Tab to object mode. Right click and say origin to 3D cursor. Now select the text object again and select this top corner point and press Shift and S, cursor to selected. Now tab back to object mode, select the letter, press Shift and S and again choose selection to cursor at the top of the radial menu. Press F2 and rename this to Q, set the origin to geometry, Shift and S, cursor to selected, reset the cursor's Z position, right click, origin to 3D cursor. Press Ctrl and A and R to reset the rotation, and again it's already inside our collection. I just want to delete the vertices from the text object, so I'll select it, tab into edit mode, drag a selection box over here, press Ctrl and L to select all of those vertices, and just press X to delete them. Done. Next letter. Okay, they are. Select the text object, tab to edit mode, alt and click any vertex to select it all, press P, and selection, tab to object mode, select the letter, press F2 and rename it R, and tab back to edit mode. Now you can see here around this curve that there are 2 edges here that are just a little too long, so I'm going to add a vertex in between here with Ctrl R and another one here. Now I'm just going to go into edge mode and try to fill in from the end of the R and see where it finishes, and that looks good. So I can go back to point select mode, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices here, so I need 4 at the other side. Press Ctrl 4 and hit enter. Now I'm going to move these vertices to match the ones they'll connect to with G, Z, Control, hover and click, and I'll do that for all 4. Now go to edge mode, select this one and fill in from top to bottom. I think I need an extra edge at the top here, and I think I need 3 loops at the bottom here, so Ctrl R3, enter and enter again to leave them in position. Done. So tab back to object mode and apply the shrink wrap modifier. Tab back to edit mode, 2 for edge mode, A to select everything, W for just the border, Ctrl I to invert the selection, press X and choose edges. Back to point mode, then A, F, I to insert, type 0.001, press X and choose faces. Alt click on the inside, press GG, hold Alt, type -30, hit enter and let go of Alt. Now 2 for edge mode and fill in from this edge here round to the corner. Select the bottom edge here and fill in up to the top. I want to straighten this edge up just by selecting these 2 vertices, pressing G, Z, Control, hover and click over this vertex. And now press Ctrl and R and add the 2 loops running through the middle and another 2 running around here. I'm going to press A and press Shift N to recalculate the normals. Press Tab, Control 3, right click and Shade Smooth. Now Tab and press 2 for edge mode. I'm going to add a tightening loop at the top here and mark it as a seam. I'm going to add one at the bottom of the leg, and I'm going to add one at the tail and mark it as a seam. Now I want one in here just to tighten up this curve in the corner. I'm going to align it to the straight edge and mark it as a seam. I'm going to move the camera a little, press A to select everything, E, Y, 0.4, 3 for face mode, Alt and click on an edge on the cross section, press I, type 0.04, W and mark seam. Turn on the on cage switch in the modifier. I'm going to tab to object mode, right click to set origin to geometry, press Shift and S, cursor to selected, reset the cursor's Z position, right click and origin to 3D cursor. Press Ctrl and A and press R to reset the rotation. Add our material, and up here I'm going to move the letter into our collection with M. Good, next letter. Select the text object, tab to edit mode, point select mode, Alt and click any vertex to select it all, press P and selection, tab to object mode, select the letter, press F2 and rename it, and tab back to edit mode. Now it looks like the S is simple and we can just fill in all the way around, but if I just try to select an edge up here and press F to fill all the way around, you'll see that the edges don't line up at all well with each other. So that's no good. Let me undo that. What I want to do is choose two vertices which do line up the way I think they should, somewhere in the middle. And I think these two here should connect up. And now I can do each half separately. So here at the bottom, from this vertice round to the corner, has 13 vertices. And around the outside, if I control and click around to the corner, I can see this has 17 vertices. I'll just space those out. And I'm going to press Ctrl R, 4 and Enter to space those out. Now I can fill in from the edge in the middle all the way around to the bottom, and I can do the same for the other half. Select these round here, and again there are 13. And then around the outside, select them all, and there are 19 here. I'll space all of those out, and I need to add 6 vertices to the smaller curve, so press Ctrl R, 6 and Enter. Now I'm going to space all of those out, and I can fill in all the faces the other way. Good, and that's done. Now I might just want to space these original vertices out between the two around them, so I'm just going to select these 3 and space them out, and the 3 down here and space those out as well. So let's tab back to object mode and apply the shrink wrap modifier, and then tab back to edit mode. Press 2 for edge mode, A for everything, W for the border, Ctrl and I to invert, X and edges. Now back to point mode, I'm going to press A, F, I, 0.001, press X and faces. I'm going to Alt click on the inside, press GG, hold Alt and type -30 and hit Enter, then let go of Alt. 2 for edge mode, and then I'm going to fill in all the way around. I'm going to press Ctrl and R and add the 2 loops on the inside through the middle. Press A to select everything, Shift and N to recalculate the normals. Press Tab, Ctrl and 3, right click, Shade Smooth, Tab, 2 for edge mode, and I'm going to add a tightening loop at the top, and mark it as a seam, and one at the bottom, and mark it as a seam. I'm going to move the camera a little, press A to select everything, E, Y, 0.4, and 3, Alt and click on an edge on the cross section, press I, type 0.04, W and mark seam. Turn on the sub-D on cage switch. I'm going to tab to object mode, right click and choose set origin to geometry, Shift and S, cursor to selected, reset the cursor Z, right click, origin to 3D cursor. Press Ctrl and A and then R to reset the rotation. As usual, I'm going to add the material, and then I'm going to move the letter into our collection with M. Good. Okay, next letter, the T. Pretty simple. I'm going to select the text object, tab to edit mode, press 1 for point select mode, Alt and click any vertex to select it all. I'm going to press P and choose selection, tab to object mode, select this new letter and press F2 to rename it T, and tab back to edit mode. Now I'm going to select from the bottom corner here around to here, and there are 9 vertices. I'm going to space them out. Now from the corner here round to here, there are only 7, so I need to add 2 more vertices in here and space them out. Now I'm going to edge select mode, select this one and fill all the way around to the crossbar. Now I'm going to select the side face here and fill in a face. I'm going to select the other side here and fill in a face. Now I'm going to select the edge at the bottom of the gap and fill in the 2 faces here. Now I want to add 3 edges in here, so Ctrl R, 3 and Enter, and I think 3 at the top here as well. I'll just add 1 on this side of the bar, and I think I'll add 2 at this side of the bar. It's a little bit bigger. I can't add any in this big face here, as any edges I did add would cross through other edges, and we can't have that. So tab to object mode and apply the shrink wrap modifier, and then tab back to edit mode, press 2 for edge mode, A, W, Control I, X and edges. 1 for point mode, now A, F, I to inset, 0.001, press X and faces. Alt click somewhere on the inside, press GG, hold Alt, type -30, hit enter and let go of Alt. Now 2 for edge mode, I'm going to fill in from this edge here all the way around to the bar. Now select this edge at the very top and fill down to the bar. Now the edge here at the side and fill in all the way across. Now I can add the internal geometry, so I'll press Ctrl and R and add 2 loops running through the middle and another 2 running across the bar. Press A and Shift and N to recalculate the normals. Tab, Ctrl and 3, right click and shade smooth. Tab, 2 for edge mode, and I'm going to add a tightening loop at the top and mark it as a seam. And then I'm going to add one at the bottom and mark it as a seam. One at this side of the bar and one at this side of the bar and mark it as a seam. Now I want to tighten up these internal corners a little like we did for the F. I'm going to add loops which are aligned to the straight edge. So another one in here and another one here at this side. Now the top edge needs to be aligned to the inside rather than the outside, as it would be uneven because of these angles. I just mark that as a seam, and then I'm going to use G stretch on this whole loop and choose project in the dialog box here. Now I'm going to move the camera a little, press A to select everything, E to extrude, Y for the axis and 0.4, and 3 for face mode, Alt and click an edge on the cross section, press I to inset and type 0.04, press W for the border and mark seam. Turn on the on cage switch and the modifier. Tab to object mode, right click, set origin to geometry, Shift and S, cursor to selected, reset the cursor's Z position, right click, origin to 3D cursor. Press Ctrl and A and R to reset the rotation, add the material and move the letter into our collection with N. That's good, and I think that'll do for this video. I think that's quite a few letters. In the next video we'll finish off all the lowercase letters. Great.